radio show with your host, Lonnie Clark. We stand together and accept that we now live in a world transformed by Fukushima. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on UCY.TV radio. We relentlessly engage every ear that listens. We expose and confront the complete lack of accountability for the nuclear industry. Consider social engineering programs who view our bodies, minds, and souls as assets on a balance sheet. We discuss vital current issues, interview activists, and engage our audience in an effort to allow all voices to be heard. The Age of Fission radio show creates a venue that all will choose. We encourage our listeners to reclaim their power and their courage to take action and save our planet from the ravages of greed and indifference. Our actions matter. Every voice matters. We remind our listeners that happiness is resistance. Love is greater than fear.
Good morning, UCY.TV radio listeners. This is Lonnie Clark. Today is January 27th, 2017. We're just about done with probably one of the most difficult Januaries we've had in our country's history. I think we've all been going through culture shock. Today we have kind of a surprise guest. I was speaking with Kevin Blanch yesterday, and he was talking about something, and I said, look, I want to have you on the air so you can share your information. He was on the line with us, and as true to form, the call dropped right as the bumper music stopped. So let me give him a call. I think he's expecting us to give him a call back when the call dropped. So hopefully he'll answer right away. We won't have the problem that we did last Friday with Carl Grossman. I think you recall that grueling 10 minutes when I kept trying to call Carl. So we'll see. I've got Kevin's number dialed in, and we'll see if it will go in through quickly.
Hi, Kevin Blanch.
Hi,
Post-Ignorance
Kevin.
Project. I am a leukemia fighter. If you're fighting or you have AML leukemia or a family member that has it, or fighting the cause of leukemia, which nuclear waste, nuclear fallout, leave me a name and a number. I'll get back to you ASAP. If I didn't answer,
that's Kevin's.
I don't know where I'm at, but I usually answer.
Let me give him a call. I think we're going to have issues calling Kevin, just like we did last week with Carl Grossman, Carl Blanch. For goodness sakes. Okay, let me put his number in again. We're going to be persistent because it worked out perfectly great with Carl Grossman last week. Welcome to the Trump Nation, I guess, huh? This is what's going to happen. But you know what? Perseverance brings success. So what happened probably with Kevin's phone is his phone has frozen up. So let me send him a text and tell him I'm calling him again. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to tell him I'm going to call him again. And we're going to add to the group call. If you recall right, last week, Carl Grossman said he couldn't even turn his phone off. It took him 10 minutes just to turn his phone off, which is why we kept getting his answering machine. So it's the same thing. It probably the old NSC. Hey, yay, Kevin. We tried to call you and it didn't pick up. So I'm grateful that you're here. Thank you for joining us, Kevin. I introduced you already, and we heard your message machine before we realized it was you. So your message machine. So welcome to the show. It was kind of funny. Thanks for joining us. As I told our listeners, we were listening to you yesterday. You and I were talking, and you were saying you have some news. We were talking about the USS Reagan. You were giving me some feedback about the Busby interview, which I want to talk to you about that also. But let's get this information that you have about the USS Reagan out first, because people need to be aware and stay engaged with this.
Oh, yeah, this is a big, big, big deal. So people need to understand that Bonner and Paul, this is window dressing up on the top. I mean, these guys are doing all the clandestine dirty work, and this case was filed 5 years ago. This should have went thing And they're just, I mean, TEPCO's got heavy hitters in there. And now GE's involved because she opened a G, and GE's got and we're talking the best attorneys in the world they're up against. So they're playing every dirty trick in the book because that's what they do is kick the can, kick the can, kick the can till they can get the right judges, the right people, and everything in place just to toss it out. So what happened, you know, only in freaking America and corporate or America could you have an appeal of an appeal. So, you know, I've been involved with this since the day it began. Remember when I went to San Diego? In fact, you paid for the trip down there to San Diego.
Yeah, I know.
In 2013. It was just me.
I know.
And it was in there. And so I was able to get into the Navy then. They would frisk me and whatever and talk to them. So the new news that's breaking right now, so the appeal of the appeal oral arguments was September 1st. So, you know, 90 days is usually as long as they ever take. I'm like, what the hell, what the hell, what the hell? So we have an activist down there who, believe it or not, at the courthouse, any proceeding, any following, they're making us pay like $12 a page, which is outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an activist that buys them, pays them, sends them to me. And we dig in and dig in and dig in. So what happened? This is a big deal, really big deal, and it shows how inept the Justice Department and the State Department and how corrupt they were. So they're saying now get this, the Justice Department and the DOE, which I know is a total lie, saying we didn't even know about this lawsuit until the spring of 2015. Now, that's impossible. Either that, you got to have the dumbest derelict in history.
The Justice Department is saying
the Justice Department and the State Department. The State Department is saying they didn't even know about this litigation until a year ago. What? So, but, you know, you think about the Obama administration, it was serfdom. You know, all these appointments, the Obama administration at all levels didn't do anything. He's the great punter. He punted on Standing Rock. He punted on Fukushima. He just punted on everything. So did the rest of his administration. They're derelicts. And so they're saying they didn't know. So last spring, a lot of people don't know this, the State Department called all players into basically a room with a whole room of freaking State Department attorneys and just, you know, grilled them. Paul was there, Bonner, but people need to know this. There is a team and army of heavy hitter tort attorneys laying in the grass that are involved in this. They're just making Bonner and Paul do all the dirty work. It's all window dressing. Their heavy army is laying there they're ready to go. So what happened? I'm like, what the hell? We're going on, 160 days and everything. So I got a docket here a few days ago, and I started reading through it. So what they did is right at the end, right as they were ready to rule, they have the ruling all done. Here comes TEPCO and GE in and filed again about the umpteenth motion to say, wait a minute, now we have to have a statement, a written docket statement by the State Department and the Judicial Department. Now, I've been fighting the Judicial since the 1970s on my dad's case. But we're like, what? Well, and then they claim to the judges.
Kevin, that's what they do. They wait till the last second before it's too late to do it, and then they extend it.
Yeah, so what they did, and so this is good news for us, really good news. So it backfired. So what happened, they thought for sure the State Department and the Judicial, like they always do, stand up for the corporate whores called General Electric, the Nuclear Crime Syndicate. So they said the three judges, there's a woman judge, there's a Japanese judge, and they're like, okay, we're going to allow it. And, Bonner and Paul said, no, bullshit, this is ridiculous. It's been fast-tracked. And they said, nope, we're going to allow it. So we thought we were screwed. So it backfired in their face. So the State Department, nobody knows this, and I know it from digging in with me and Nancy down there. The State Department and the Judicial did big written statements and presented right before Obama's left, and they sided with the USS Reagan troops, both the Justice Department and the DOE.
Wow.
It's a not the DOE, the Justice Department and the State Department. Now, people need to realize that Obama and Hillary were running it, but they've been, they're not there. Yeah, it's a big deal. So what happened, then GE nearly has heart failure because people need to know this. Under the Price-Anderson Act of the 1950s, there's no liability on it. You could sue till the cows come home. You can't sue the nuclear energy industry, and they don't have to be insured. The taxpayer insures them. It's free money. That's why everybody knew going online up. They know it's free money. There's no liability. They don't have to get insurance. They can have all the accidents in the world. You can't sue them. You can. It's called Price-Anderson, which removes all liability from the nuclear crime syndicate. G knows this.
Limits
so G's
their out-of-pocket cost too.
Not limited, zero. It's all taxpayer. Everything falls onto the taxpayer when it comes to nuclear energy. Everything.
Kevin,
you build them, you fund them.
Well, I know, but this is the thing. They do have an insurance fund that they do, and it limits it to like nothing, like $500 million. It's nothing. I mean, total conglomerated use. So it is literally practically nothing.
They stepped in, GE, just a few days ago. After the state, they watched for the State Department, and they came in, and they filed another motion. And I'm like, what? I just did it yesterday. I talked to Paul yesterday, but there's some big tort attorneys that are laying in the grass. I talked to them because they're getting the numbers, and so they filed a motion saying, well, we at least want to be able to respond. And so the judge agreed. They have what they call a 50,000 word rule. They agreed again. Says okay. So then Paul and those guys go back. Well, then we get a response. Okay. So the responses, they say, will be done by the 30th. And Paul told me yesterday, he says that we hope that, we'll at least rule before the anniversary, which is coming right up. And so, but that's a big deal. They cited. But people need to know that Bonner and Paul are one thing. They're the best tort attorneys on earth. I mean, they're green, Paul and Bonner as far as this. They're good attorneys, and they're doing a great job, and they're doing all the dirty work. But the big powerhouse heavy hitter, they're always there, by the way. When I protest there, and I'm always there, they'll come up in plain clothes. I mean, the firm that took down Philip Morris, they're there. They come up, and they'll always talk to me and Lori, because Lori and I don't want the protests there. And so they're laying in the grass watching, and so they're trying to backdoor Price-Anderson against G because it happened in Japan. Now, this was originally, suit was filed against the government and the Navy. Now, so the dance is going to be this. This is a real delicate dance. In order for TEPCO to be liable, because I sat in the courtroom twice, and I've listened to their argument. TEPCO has great attorneys, and so does G, and their argument is this. What are you talking about? Because Bonner are taking the path that the Obama administration has put out, the narrative that they put out that we didn't know. And TEPCO goes right at them, say, are you kidding me? The Navy knew 100% exactly what it is. So that's the argument. So they have to bypass that. And the suit is GE because the Mach 1 and Mach 2 were built fraudulently, which the whistleblowers came forward and said that in the 70s. And so, but they're trying to get it, there's lots of firewalls to protect these guys. But being that it happened over there, so-called an international law, so it's an incredible dance. It's an incredible dance, and it's a major, major case because what happens in California is full discretion. They have cameras in the courtrooms in California. And so this win, lose, or draw doesn't really matter. What it will do, it will expose this crime, the greatest crime in human history. And these judges have read through it. Janice has read through all of it, and they know because the discovery's there. And so if we can get it into the courtroom, and I think it's going to happen. I honestly think it's going to happen. Unless, Trump has the power. Trump has the power to dagger this. And I don't know if he will or not. But if it gets into the courtroom, we're going to see the greatest crime in human history, which I call Fukushima Gate to Hell, the cover-up. And there are 800,000 potential plaintiffs. And
well,
so,
with Rex Tillerson being the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson is going to be the Secretary of State, no doubt. I mean, we just had the State Department, all the executives at the State Department just resigned. It was kind of weird. En masse, they all said, no, we're leaving, all at one time. So now they have to rebuild them. It is disturbing because really on this USS Reagan case, the oil company and the nuclear company are simpatico. So, they'll defend the nuclear industry, and it's, the complete disregard for human life. So it looks, I mean, Bonner and Bonner have their work cut out for them because, as we speak, people are dying.
They've done fantastic work. They've done all the dirty work. You think about what they stepped into. They've had a lot of balls and a lot of guts. It's kind of like, you and I. We're out there fighting our ass off. We look what we're up against, doing all the dirty work. The hardcore and the muck and dirty work. That's what Bonner and Paul are doing. And these guys.
Well,
but
the way
another
they
thing
frame
too
it, Kevin,
is the Attorney General.
Go ahead.
You got to understand the Attorney General. We got Sessions, the Attorney. People don't know this. You know where Jeff Sessions originally comes out of, don't you? He's the TVA attorney. He's the Watts Bar guy. So he's a nuclear energy rat from hell.
I knew that I've seen him in.
We're up against that.
Issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Trump's, but we're in California. In California, that's our only hope. Just like San Onofre to shut down, on the solar initiative. The only thing, what should be happening in the entire country, the only place it's happening is California. They're all solar. They're producing so much solar, they've kicked everybody else out. They're kicking the frackers out. They kicked the nuclear industry out. And they're like, you ought to hear them down there when you talk to the people that are in power. They're like, fuck these guys. This is California. We'll do it our way. So let them try to step into the 9th District in San Diego. Let them try. California's going to fight them tooth and nail.
Yeah.
And so we have that going for us.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
So then the other big news.
Trump's executive thing to streamline the deep DAPL, and the pipelines included in that language is actually streamlining the nuclear, coal, and fracking. He's streamlining all of it. He's going full steam ahead on all of it. Yes. I mean, he is no friend to America or to our environment. Bye-bye environment, Well,
look what he signed. He went right in executive order, Standing Rock, right off the gate. Are you kidding? He's going to draw blood at Standing Rock. And he's so arrogant and stupid. He has no clue what kind of eruption is going to come out of it. He's going to go in there. You don't think he's going to go in there? You are really dreaming. He didn't sign that executive order on day 3 or 4 for no reason on Standing Rock.
That's exactly
He is a racist bigot, just like his old man. Old man Trump. I mean, people forget about old man Trump.
Exactly.
One thing about old man slumlord racist Trump was, ask Woody Guthrie, is he made sure his children got incredible educations. His sisters, the new Supreme Court justice nominee is his sister's best friend. That's the way it looked to me.
That.
And so, yeah, she's a federal judge, his sister. And so they're very educated people. I mean, Trump's no fool. He graduated at Wharton. That's our sister school. Economically, he's right on the tariff issue, but socially, fabric, everything else, oh my God. I mean, look at his cabinet picks. Not one single brown person. That's right in your face. I mean, he's like,
not one clean person. They're all dirty. All of his picks are dirty. They all have their fingers in the pie.
Yes.
His picks tell us that they plan on gutting every institution in the United States and starting over. Like they want to clear the board and make it in their image. You know what I mean? They think they're God. They think that they're going to be the ones that are going to do this to us. And
it's Vienna, 1938, and that's where they all come from.
Well, it's the Pinochet. I've been saying
they all come from the same place.
Look, this is Pinochet-style controlled democracy government, where if you don't go along with it, the military is going to come and haul your ass in jail. And that is exactly what he's...
Fascism.
6 journalists already have been arrested. 6. I mean, that's outrageous.
It's all fascism. Right out of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, right where the Trumps come from, and his Czech wife, and they're all Orthodox. And every one of them, Bezos, freaking Bill Gates, all of them are the same freaking family. Sheila Sandberg, freaking Mark Zuckerberg, they're all out of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. It's right out of the old freaking Austrian-Hungarian Empire playbook. It's pure fascism, pure fascism. Military, and this country's drank the Kool-Aid. Militarism. It's got them hypnotized through television. Fox News hypnotized them. CNN hypnotized them.
There's a lot of people
control the media.
They think we need to gut these institutions. Like, oh, we're glad the EPA is freezing. Really, you want to see the pipe? You and I are old enough to remember the rivers on fire. What we need to do is push for
boy.
stopping the lobby. If we could get rid of the lobbyists in Washington, D.C., Kevin, that would really solve a lot of the issues with our government agencies. Just cut out the lobbying industry.
There's the problem. When we were in Illinois recently and in New York, so Gell's the lead in Illinois. And so, we're fighting our ass off against the Exelon bailout. So the very money that in the settlement from Hanford, we exposed that they used that money that were supposed to fix the tanks were to hire lobbyists. So inside there, they literally had 10-1 lobbyists against us. They had 7 lobbyists for every vote. So here in Utah, when I'm in the House, I was down there yesterday, or the day before yesterday, they've got, NewScale has 30 lobbyists in there going at me, and the CEO of NewScale's brother's our Attorney General, which the CEO of NewScale, a lot of people don't know this, is that madman in the Philippines' first cousin, Rez. And so this is what we're up against inside there. And they break lobby laws. They've got a table set up there. You can watch my YouTube videos when I caught them. That's against the law. But who's going to enforce? It's like I tell everybody on Trump, they're all saying, well, Trump can't do this. It's against the Constitution. It's against. I says, you tell me who's going to stop him. The Supreme Court? The Democrats? They're going to crawl under the freaking thing, enough of them, and they're going to crawl underneath the table and put lipstick on.
Yeah, the Republicans are clicking their heels.
No, they're going to go right along.
Yeah, they're definitely doing it. I mean, and they cannot believe it. Like, they finally get to impose their will. And did you hear that they're not going to fund our participation in the UN? They've cut off all funds to the UN. So they're definitely isolating us. And, this is the thing about this case for the USS Reagan. It's beyond comprehension. What they have done is it's all about gaslighting, making people believe that uranium is not that harmful. Did you see that? There was a documentary, I saw it on PBS here, called Earth Crying, Rise Up. And it's about the fracking industry, the uranium mining industry in Wyoming. And it's a little town where they're uranium mining on Native American lands. And at first they said 30 years ago, the government told them, don't worry.
It goes here massively here in Utah.
So, yes. And
I know the documentary filmmaker who made Hot Water and, the movie, the Uranium Theater Outdoor. I know both. I know both really well. Here's where people make the mistake on uranium. They think uranium is it's a fossil fuel, and uranium is natural in the earth. I mean, it's everywhere. But what happens, you know how much uranium each reactor takes? Because it's called a centrifusion process. So it's called uranium-238, which is natural in the earth. But that's not what they use. So they take ungodly amounts of uranium, and then they spin it. And then the free radical goes rogue, which is called uranium-235. For every 100 pounds of uranium, they get a teeny fraction of 235. That's what nuclear reactors use, is 235. Well, when they spin it in centrifuge, it also releases something else called plutonium, 239. They'll go rogue. They can't control them. And so that's what we're up against. And then so the waste, after it's burnt in the so-called remox, it has all these components in it. They have nowhere to put it. So they're storing it on site. So they put it in a whip and it blows up. So these people are indoctrinated in Illinois, in New York. They're bailouts. They're going to every single house and backdooring all our laws. For the last 20 years, every state in this country has passed alternative energy bills for solar and wind. So what they've done is they've retooled them subtly to where nuclear can tap into that money. And so these rats smell cheese, NewScale. There's 50 companies. They passed a bill 2 days, and everybody's asleep. The United States House passed a fast-track bill on small nuclear reactors, and inside the language, it doesn't say we're banning solar wind, but it does say we're blocking solar. So what it says that the caps on solar and wind, states are not going to be able to sell individually back into the federal grid. That's what it says, and it's a congressman from California in the same district that the USS Reagan trial is going on, who sponsored it. I mean, these are criminals. And like I said, it's the lobbyists. I mean, they got all the money.
They've convinced people that uranium doesn't really, I mean, in this documentary, Kevin, there's girls in this small town saying, well, some people say uranium's not harmful, but it's not. It's not harmful. We're all fine. Everybody here's fine. And they said, without these uranium mines, we wouldn't have a job. That's on film. Well,
Yeah.
there's a little girl that's highlighted in the film, a 7 or 8-year-old child who was born without an anus. She has to wear a colostrum bag to hold her waist. It is a disgusting thing. She's constantly in and out of the
Well,
hospital.
here's what they sold America a bill of goods. They took our jobs, sent them to freaking China, and then they sell us. I mean, I tell them, why don't you have a factory that kills babies and say, well, you can't get rid of that factory. It's jobs. And then that's what they play. It's like the niggers say. The unions get involved in Illinois, in New York, whatever. Say, look, I've spent my whole life fighting these rats. They do not employ anybody. It's Homer Simpson. These computers run, they have skeleton school. The only time unions get involved is when they do the change out, which happens rarely, once a couple of years. And they go in there for a couple of weeks. That's not economic benefit to unions, but they've got the unions on the payroll. You saw me when I was in San Onofre in 2013 when they pushed in 7 different freaking loads of them, and Joni Ray went out and exposed. These guys didn't even know what they were talking about. And they say, we were paid to do this. We were paid. We got free lunch. And the labor unions that are on the come, kids that aren't even in the union yet, they're saying, look, if you want to get in the union, you have to go to this event. You get paid for 8 hours. And then, they have their paid propagandists. And they show up and they flood these hearings. They've been doing it in California for decades. But with YouTube, we expose them. It's not about jobs. It's all a lie. Same in the uranium industry.
This leads into what I wanted to talk to you about. You and I met through YouTube, and even this radio show got started. Your show, the Post Ignorance Project, it all got started based on our exposure on YouTube. Our community on YouTube is changing the narrative. They can't ignore it. And, people get all huffy puffy about who's right and who's right. This is one of the things. I did this interview. I pre-recorded the interview yesterday with, I should have said the date so that people would be clear, with Dr. Chris Busby on January 4th, right? And he is, I even told him, I honestly, when I was listening to the radio show yesterday myself, and when I suggested to him that the Pacific Ocean is being dramatically harmed, and he got into it about it's not hot, and I said, look, it's killing the microorganisms, and he's like, that's harming the health of the Pacific. And he was like, wow, that's a concept I hadn't thought of. When he said that, I went, as I was listening to it, I'm like, these are the people this is the people we're relying on, because what happens with the scientific community is they get so narrow in their focus. They have been trained. And then on top of it, there's, as quote, experts, they can't publicly speak as outrageously as we do. Otherwise, they be excluded from
they lose
court.
their PhD like they took mine. How do you think I lost my graduate degree? I lost my undergraduate degree. They went in and completely stole everything to me and completely blackballed, because you go against that freaking machine. They take it from you. They go change your transcript. They fired me. They fired me for this very reason, so they can't. That's why activists are so important. That's why we have to have activists. Activists are the only ones that win.
He would not come on this show for a long time, over a year, because he said he didn't want to be framed as a loony. He was involved in some hearings over in Europe, and he did not want to come on because the YouTube community is considered alternative. This is why I love having Carl Grossman on, because Carl Grossman is pretty establishment. He's written
good
books, and he is very open. Do you know what's happened, though? I mean, this is why he's really grateful to come on. He doesn't have a venue, because he used to be on Left TV, on the radio station, on television station. Well, they called him up and said, well, we don't want to give you. He used to have an hour show, and they said, well, we only want to give you 20 minutes.
I used to listen to it.
I can't talk about this in 20 minutes, in 5 minutes. So he's grateful to have the hour. And I think our YouTube community has an opportunity to really change the narrative, and we are changing the narrative, because we're not accepting their bullshit.
Oh boy, that's how we got San Onofre shut down. That's the USS Reagan without this YouTube community, and it's a powerhouse. And like I said, that's where people need to get it. We need to pull back, the so-called old establishment thing. And by the way, so a lot of people don't know this, and I'll tell you this, and I probably even shouldn't tell you this. There's a lot of clandestine operations going abrew on the Great Pacific Genocide and the USS Reagan. There's a lot of stuff happening underground that you will never know about because it's classified. And I've been threatened multiple times because I have a lot of stuff, and they talk to me. They visit me. And so none of these rats will. I've been offered twice. I've been offered Go ahead.
Look at our radio show. This
Are you
radio
there?
show, when Kevin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. I mean, your phone call dropped. This is the weird thing about when these phone call drops. The intro, the bumper music to this radio show is not connected to our call to the radio show. So it comes in on a different computer. But what happens, and it's only when I call the radio show that my calls drop when I add people into the call. And you were already on the radio. This only happens when people who are anti-nukers are on my radio show.
Here's
most
what we're
of
up
the time.
against. So now this is important. So there's a lot of clandestine brew, including on the USS Reagan. I've been offered consulting contracts with two major firms that aren't Barner and aren't Paul. And same with my uncle. My uncle's retired high brass who was liaison in Japan. I'm trying to talk him into breaking ranks, which he did an interview on UCY2. It's important. I mean, this guy is the powerhouse. And so I told him no. I says, no, I'm not going to conflict of interest. I'm not going to take fucking money. I want to stay grassroots. I want to stay what I'm doing right here and rely on public funding so there's no conflicts. And so, you know, there's a lot going. They're inside the NSA, inside the CIA, because I'm involved heavily with the real anonymous crowd. And so this NSA knows it. They all know it. And so they have admitted to me, point blank, right to my face, that they've squashed us and they went out and they had an incredible clandestine operation. They've admitted it to me inside the bunker in Hawaii, which Snowden was involved, and Snowden was in Japan. Now let's remember, and Lizzie Mills, they were in Japan at Fukushima, you know, and he says he was wiring infrastructure. And then he left right before it happened, and then he was in the bunker, which the cover-up, and then he hands the chip to Lord Poniez, who killed Aaron Swartz. But they have told me, I have people inside that have told me, they've showed up and says, Kevin, the clandestine against the YouTube community out there, squashing video count, and then I do all my work at the university, which we have an incredible IT department. I have a lot of ties at that university. They told me straight up, this is just a little while ago, because they got through my firewalls. They have the biggest layers of firewalls you ever seen at that university. You're talking it's a 30,000 student university with an incredible IT department. They says your site alone through your IP has been attacked hundreds of times. And so these PR firms, and they've come right out and told us straight up, you look at the new PR, there's all kinds of government-funded PR firms for the nuclear industry. They issue statements. And those statements, they say, we're hiring a new PR firm because the internet, quote, quote, has been really taking our field and doing a number on us. So we need to retool it. The State Secret Act. Now remember the State Secret Act. Edward Snowden built the State Secret Act, and he admits that. He got played, and he knows he got played by Lindsay Mills. You know, another little clandestine freaking Russian spy. So it's very, very real what they've done to us. These view counts on my videos and other videos should be in the millions. They've squashed us. They've attacked us. They've used, you Google me, you get these idiots up in Canada who claim me of all kinds of fraud. I mean, nobody else, and same with Dunford, same with Jan. I mean, Jan's son had passed away, and these rats up in Canada were going at her right as he died. They knew that. I'm full of AML leukemia and critical condition. James Dunford's in a wheelchair. Nobody could get away with that. These are felonies. Those are felonies in Canada, in every state. Why do they able to do it to us, and nobody stands up for us? Because they got all the money, and the courts. I talked to judges. They're afraid of the attorneys in this country are scared to death of the nuclear crime syndicate because they have all the money.
Well, they're afraid
So that's what we're up against.
It's all about their professionalism. You know, the thing is, we're citizen journalists, right? Why do we, this is the issue that just blows me away, Kevin. Why is not the nuclear industry, they know they have a problem. Why aren't they putting millions of dollars into figuring out how to why are they squashing the solutions? Why are they squashing?
There is no solution. Allison McFarland, I will quote Allison at the Senate. So I'm at the Senate offer here. Now, this is an incredible story. I'll write a whole book. And by the way, before I forget, Lonnie, you know where I was 3 years ago today? Knoxville, Tennessee, at the Megan Rice Senate scene. in the
right.
snow. You paid for the trip, and
That's right.
I was the only journalist there, the only actor. So I need to get a book out about that. And it was our group that got Megan Rice out of jail. It was me and you and our tiny group that got her out. We went to the judges. Remember the petitions we sent to the judge? Those petitions had millions that you and I started. We got Megan Rice out through YouTube.
I wouldn't say that, but I would say it helped. The fact
Don't
that
ever admit that.
given so much exposure, it does help. This is the point about activism. Every drop in the cup fills the cup. So we don't know which is going to tip it over, but something. This is why it's so important for everybody to listen. You know, Kevin, this is one of the things when you and I were doing the Post-Ignorance Project, you were going all around the country. People would say, I'm going to be there. And then nobody showed up because they were too comfortable. Well, people
if they did, yeah, and then when they did show up, and a lot of them did show up, they wouldn't go on camera. They would hide. Like when I was at Washington Square, we had, a big crowd there. Were you going to go on camera? I mean, 6 people did. And in California, I mean, I've had crowds of 200-300. You go on camera? No, the only ones that got the balls to go on camera with me is the Million Mass March and the anonymous crowd, because those crazy fuckers don't give a fuck. They don't care. They're crazy.
We were at the Hanover, and we met that artist that they had like a co-op, and we were out there doing our action at Hanover. Yes. And I asked this lady, do you want to be on camera? And
It went over.
Wendover, right. And we asked her, I wanted to ask this woman 3 questions, because on my YouTube channel, I do this thing where I ask people 3 questions. What do you know about Fukushima? What do you know about Hanford? And what do you know about nuclear pollution? I asked her the first question, and she was like, looked at me, and she didn't know anything. She's like, I don't want this on camera. And I'm like, no, I just want to, the point of doing this is to show that Americans do not
Welcome
know.
to my world all day, every day.
And she's like, don't put that on anywhere. And I'm like, look, we're not making fun of you.
Well, that's where the left has failed us, Lonnie. The environmental community and the left has failed us. Because they've got, look, they're cowards, exactly. So you go back to Carrie Dixon. You know Carrie Barefoot Dixon. She's our queen, by the way. She's the Freedom Eisenhower of the United States. When I was a boy, I'm old enough to know and understand because my father. Oh, you got to check her out. So she was the activist. She was a school teacher in Oklahoma. So they were going to build a nuclear reactor in Oklahoma called Black Fox. She was a school teacher. Y'all like Freedom Eisenhower, just grassrooter. She's, oh no. So she educated herself about this, like you have, like Jan has, like Christina has. And so she's like, oh, fuck no. And so she started her own grassroots. She just showed up at these events by herself with a megahorn. And she didn't fuck around. She would say, you either stop Black Fox or I will kill Black Fox. Do you understand? I will kill it. We will kill it. And she would go psycho. I mean, go crazy. She would show up into the Oklahoma legislature, get right in the governor's face and just scream at him. I'm warning you right here, right now. And they'll say, you threatening me? Oh, fuck yes, I'm threatening you. She's an old lady, school teacher. And she finally started, because she was a school teacher and she had credibility in her integrity, and they knew she was a grassrooters, and she was funded by no one. And the people of Oklahoma started to see this, that she was their girl. She was one of them. They started to rally against her, and boy, she got it shut down. And, same with Megan Rice's mother, Madeline. She was exactly like that. Madeline used to stand with her goofy Bavarian hat on and her glasses, and, oh, my God, she was radical. I mean, they were fearless, and the left has changed it away to now if you raise your voice, like I'm at the Bernie Sanders rally, you could hear me yelling at Bernie. I'm at Bernie, why don't you talk about Fukushima? And the self-repressors in the crowd are like, stop that now, stop that, mommy, all of them. I'm like, shut the fuck up, you self-repressing assholes. I'm at a rally. So the left has gotten to the point where at a political rally, don't raise your voice at a political rally? Are you kidding me? That's what you do.
You know what I think?
You're supposed to raise your voice.
I think we need to be talking about the nuclear catastrophes that are going on in the United States, like the abandoned uranium mines all throughout the 15,000. And that 15,000 is just a good estimate. That's what I found an abandoned uranium
fire
mine
in southern Utah. There's a uranium fire in southern Utah that's been on fire for 70 years. Wow. Underground fire, they cannot get it out. For 70 years in Moab, where they want to build another nuclear reactor.
Wow.
Yeah, there's uranium
Just
tailings
like-
everywhere. I think my favorite documentary is Hot Water, which is a fairly new one. It's fantastic. Won all the awards. She's good. She was going to do a documentary on me here 3 years ago when I was sick. She contacted me, wanted me to do all the things, and then, of course, the trolls and the rats all over the internet scared her off. That's what their job is, and they've been good at it, by the way. You got to give it to them. They've really slandered me to the 10th power, and you, and Dana, and Jan, and Christina, our core group of, YouTubers. Who we are changing the world. We're pioneers.
This is the fact. Fact is, they can't hide the death that nuclear causes. And they can play all the games they want, and at some point they're going to say, "Oh my God, we didn't know." I mean, January 25th, 2 days ago, Hanford Vapors lawsuit. They're having a lawsuit about the chemical vapors. They're calling them chemical vapors at Hanford, and they're going to pursue mediation. Mediation instead of fixing it. They're fighting them tooth and nail instead of to get this. Workers
There's
are
the left for you. And then
they want the guy.
So we have the left that's mediate everything. Let's compromise on everything. And then we have the right. We're so generous. Racial arrogance. It's all God's will. Let's take the earth with us. Let us scorch the earth. And then the left is kumbaya. Don't raise your voice. Standing Rock's changes it. And before I forget, Lonnie, this is real important right in your neck of the woods. This is really important. This is breaking news. It got snuck out. This is how dirty, rotten the Obama administration was. We've known the Pacific Ocean was collapsing. As I said, the Pacific salmon go to sea for 5 years, and nobody's reporting it but me. And I'm like, oh, no, record runs, and it just totally has collapsed off the heck. I mean, there's native tribes that are calling it extinctions now. So guess what Obama did on the 28th, on the 18th of January? It got snuck out, they used to put stuff to the media, and then, whether it be the Huffington Post or, Washington Post, whatever, gets it out. That's how the government works. Oh, no, they snuck it out, and I had to find it up in Alaska. The Obama administration declared 9 fisheries, California, Oregon, state of Washington, and Alaska, federal disasters. And they've been under review what we call the Mitchell Act in Oregon, which is the 1938 subsidy that goes with the fishing, which is massive subsidy, which they switched from the Department of Agriculture to the Chamber of Commerce, gets all the money, and I've been accusing them of corruption for decades. A lot of people have. So the review's been going on for the entire 8 years. So they covered their ass, and the day before Obama left, they released it into the domain and says, "Oh, we've finished the review, and everything, there's some corruption and there's some, but we're just trying to protect so we don't have to enforce the Endangered Species Act." So the Endangered Species Act in Oregon says this, which was passed in 1997, it's federal law, that if you have a year-over-year drop in any animal species over 60% or a trend, but year-over-year, you have to emergency close at all the fisheries and or hunting or whatever animal it is, so they don't go extinct. So they covered up the collapse of the salmon, 2016 collapse. They covered it up, kicked the can like they did at Standing Rock, right? And then they released it. So the Obama administration, and I'm going to pin them on this, and I've been going to the Trump administration on this. Look, the Obama administration should have enforced the Endangered Species Act 9 months ago. They didn't. That's against the law. There's some people inside agencies in the Obama administration who are going to go to jail over this because they violated the Endangered Species Act. That act is alive and well, and still they want to overturn it. Trump says he's going to overturn it. Well, until you overturn it, go ahead. Good luck. So they violated this. So they've been covering up what I call the Great Pacific Genocide the whole time, and they admitted it just in the last couple of days to cover their dumb asses, and they didn't cover their asses, and they snuck this shit out. Well, it takes work for us investigative journalists and or activists to find this shit. So the economic repercussions to the state of Oregon and state of Washington are epic. I'm here to tell you. I mean epic. So, and you're going to hear a lot about it this spring. Now, will Trump go along and play ball? We'll see.
Well, there's a
list, one of the few angles we have.
Go ahead. Is
Obama. Okay, so Trump is a loose cannon. Okay, and he, you see his Twitter account. Anybody says anything about it, he just knee-jerks and fights back. Well, he hates the Obama administration, and Obama and Hillary hated each other. Do not kid yourself. Obama fought tooth and nail to get her beat. He hates her. And that's coming right from Caroline Kennedy, third party to me. Brutally, Obama brutally hates the Clintons, hates Hillary, and he did everything in his power to get her defeated. And so, I'm no Hillary Clinton fan. I mean, I voted for Bernie. And so, actually, I voted for Chelsea Manning. So, the thing that people have to wrap their mind around is, will this crazy ass break ranks on Fukushima? Because he knows Abib was the very first person in Trump Towers, the Prime Minister of Japan, very first person in. This is all the cover-up, and then Jared's reporting they had a fight in Hawaii with the Obama administration over the cover-up of Fukushima. His son-in-law, who's a progressive Democrat, by the way, he runs the foundation Palestine or Young Jews for Palestine. That's Jared, and he's 36. He's a national security advisor. His dad went to prison. Chris Christie put his dad in prison. The Democratic activist, his billionaire hedge fund father. And Lori Pony is his best dad's old buddy. So the fact is this: will Trump, when people start going at him about this collapse in the Pacific Ocean, because it's going to be a big story this spring, is he going to throw the Obama administration under the bus? Now, Obama's kissing his ass, wrote him a big love letter.
They're going to do nothing. They're going to double down hard on the denial, Kevin. That's what they're doing.
Well, they are, but Trump's so crazy is in the middle of the night at 4 o'clock in the morning, sitting around watching, he sits around and watches Alex Jones' YouTube videos. That's what he does. So, he's worried about his Czech freaking Russian spy freaking wife with her 15 boyfriends. That's where he gets his news is from Alex Jones. Is that what you're telling me? Yes, he watches Alex Jones' YouTube. He said that in his interview with Alex Jones. I love your work. I watch your videos every day, blah, 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 blah. And so I'm just thinking that maybe when this starts accusing down the road of Trump, hey, look, the Pacific Ocean's collapsing, you're covering up current. He might tweet, say, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. Obama on the cover-up of Fukushima. Will he make the mistake and say the word Fukushima? He's been told to and briefed by now security advisor over and over not to say the word. But you know how he goes. He forgets. He's crazy. Forget. Right. So that's our only chance that he's going to break ranks. Well, they're not the establishment. They've got the wagon circled. They're going to let the whole shit fall on his shoulders. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to let him do these sweeping things. The thing will collapse, and then they're going to blame him. And in the meantime, they're going to tie in these nuclear catastrophes, like what's going on in Hanford. Hanford is brewing. They can't contain the leaks at Hanford, and the workers are getting sick. They're completely crazy. There was a report this morning that 2 of the federal workers out there got reprimanded for taking nude photos of themselves and gaming while they were at work and asking people to come onto the Hanford reservation through an app. So it's breaking down people over there. It's a national park now, by the way. Oh, that's Obama. Yes. So Obama's answer was raise the limits and let all the wells. By the way, the humpbacks aren't making it to Hawaii 2 years in a row. So make the national park, and also let's preserve the Pacific Ocean in Hawaii. Let's turn it into a national park, and let's show a picture of him snorkeling. And you read through the picture, that picture wasn't even taken in Hawaii, and the National Geographic even says it wasn't taken in Hawaii. It said it was taken at Midway. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing at Midway? Oregon has a list of animals that are threatened or on the extinction list. And for sure, the North Pacific right whale, the humpback whale is on it. The fin whale is on it. The blue whale is on it. They pulled them off. Didn't you know it got pulled off 3 months ago? The Obama administration pulled the humpbacks off and the grays off the endangered list 3 months ago. Why they're dying? Why they're all washing up starving? Well, they're still on the Oregon list. They're still on the Oregon list. Yeah, they could be on the state list. Yeah, but the federal list, he pulled them off. Why they're collapsing? They haven't made it to Hawaii 2 years in a row now. Record numbers are washing up dead. They're all starving to death. Just like Busby's so dumb. All these people are so dumb. Look, it killed. I call it fructonium. I said this day one. It's going to kill the upper layer. And Ed Ricketts, it's an eco chain. And they're slowly all going to starve to death. And that's exactly to a tease what happened. These animals are all, I've watched them. When I walk the coast, I watch starving to death animals come right up to me, crying, eating dirt, eating rocks. Dead whales gas me. I watched it. physically, I walked the whole coast. I walked from Mexico to San
If
Francisco.
people were to
jumped
pay
all of it.
attention, they'd see it. I mean, the mass animal deaths, we lose about 1 million birds a year. I mean, a month. Last January, in this January again, we lost over 1,600,000. This is the interesting thing. All these birds, they always die of avian flu. None of them die from nuclear pollution. It's all.
Well, the Muirs didn't. They've come right out. The Muirs at Bristol Bay and the Muirs on the coast of California, and Oregon, which was the grassrooters who had to expose that because these derelicts that work for these people didn't do it. They came right out and said they all died. Starvation. Now, right here at Farmington Bay in Utah, we have between 500 and 800 eagles migrate from Alaska this time of year a year. I'm the only one that's been documenting the last few years. You know how many returned last year? 8.
Wow.
8 at between 500 and 800, and no media will even cover and talk about it. So the collapse isn't gradual. The collapse post-Fukushima, 100 million dead trees in California. 100 million. And
That's
so
right.
this
Take
collapse
the aerial view.
post-Fukushima, and here's
People can go to
Here's the proof,
Google,
Lonnie.
and
Here's
you
the
can
proof.
look.
This is important. Yeah, here's the proof. Here's the proof of my thesis. Because that's what good PhDs do. We hypothesize, we do the work for 3-4 years, and then we defend our work. Look, here's how the proof, and I've said this 1,000,000 times on YouTube. You can argue with me, and just shut up and wait till 2016, and my proof will come. Because the salmon had record numbers on the Columbia last year. Record. 3 million salmonoids over the freaking bottom. They have cameras and sonar. They count every single fucking fish. It collapsed this summer to less than 600,000 when they were expecting 2.8 million. Now the wintertime soy ice that's what we call an outliner. So we know something acutely happened 5 years ago to make this epic, because this is not gradual. This is an acute, horrific collapse. So as any scientist will tell you, social scientist, any stats professor, we call that an outliner. So you have to start searching. What happened 5 years ago? That's a hard one, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, Fukushima. It killed the freaking, we call that the luminescence of the sea, the light, the top layer. You ever been surfing or you ever been in the water when at nighttime when the luminescence lights up certain times and there's little lights popping all over your head and popping all over while you're swimming? It's incredible.
Well, the denial,
these
even
animals,
if you,
these krill and eels, they actually are electric. They're electric from the sun, and they illuminate. They killed it. Fukushima killed it. So there's no food. It's an eco chain.
the whole thing,
it's really
the
simple,
nuclear
isn't it?
pollution. It's like Turkey Point in Florida. The birds, the pelicans are dying,
God.
are all around St. Petersburg, and they're like, we wonder why. Well, Turkey Point's right on the tip of, and it is leaking nonstop. We have a nonstop nuclear
And they get caught. They get caught with massive tritium levers, so the governor calls them in and says, we got to do that. And they says, oh, well, let's cut a deal. And they make a deal, and they give
Right.
the governor some more money for some foundation. Oh, what's your baby? Well, I want to stop child abuse. Well, here, we'll fund $20 million into your child as if you shut the fuck up. Okay, because these people have an agenda, and some of it's done in the uppity up, but guys know how to play. They just find a way to buy them. Turkey Point's a catastrophe. So is the Mound in St. Louis. So is Indian Point. So is the Bell out in New York. I mean, these things are all catastrophes. San Onofre's the worst of the worst. And by the way, if it wasn't for my work, San Onofre never shuts down. And our small group. And by the way, also, they would have never known the story that WHIP blew up without us grassrooters. And so the waste would have been buried on the beach if it wouldn't have been for us. And it's not. Because I deal with Tom, and I deal with these guys underground again. I deal with them on a daily basis. It's not going to be buried on the beach. They got the temporary permit. They're taking it to New Mexico as we speak. So California, we're winning there. But is it too late? We are really winning in California. It's the only state we're winning. We're losing in the other 49.
Kind of ironic that it's the only state you're winning since you're the most exposed to the nuclear pollution from Fukushima. I mean, fuck, you're winning, but really, what are you winning?
I don't know if they are the most. I mean, Oregon's the most. Oregon is American ground zero for the jet stream of Fukushima.
True.
I mean, what's going on in Oregon?
We go out to the coastline.
You're a direct hit all day, every day.
There's nothing on the coastline. You go out there, and there's seals out there, but the fact is that there's not as many seals. There's not as many, and for people who don't know what it used to look like, it looks like there's animals there, but there's just not masses of animals. You don't.
Well, you go out there on the tide pools. That's why it's so important on the tide pool work that I did. We waited and waited. The lowest negative tide pool freaking in 3 years was going to be in early December. I mean, I slept on a floor in Castro. You ever been to Castroville? It's more Mexico than Mexico. And nobody even speaks English. That's where I stayed, take the bus, and I documented all those negative. I mean, I had to sit there, and the tide pools roll out. You have to be there right at the second, because when they roll out, they'll roll out a mile long within an hour. So I'm at Carmel. You know how much work I put into those videos? And we caught it right at the low. And I did every tide pool on the entire peninsula. And then, Jeff Ryan's posted them on his website. So it's undocumented proof. Because I caught them at low tide, the lowest. They're toxic, and they're empty. They're completely empty. And then you can go back in pre-2011 because there's YouTube videos out that people are slowly posting that shot in 2008, 2009, 2010, and they're loaded with freaking life. Totally loaded. So it's all post-Fukushima. And YouTube is, we got it documented. It's there. It's there. Thank God that we did that, because if us grassrooters didn't do that, just like the Megan Rice, you and I, just like the, Justice Reagan, you and I in the early days, if you and I wouldn't have done that, it wouldn't have got done. It would have been forgotten history. But we have it. And it doesn't matter about view count.
Kevin,
it's there.
I think we've pushed through this conversation because about bringing together the establishment we're still not there. The establishment anti-nukers with the quote alternative anti-nukers, because there's this sense among the people that are exactly, and they're beginning to see that we're a force of at least 100,000 people in the United States.
Look, Lonnie, I can prove this. How do you think Trump got elected? And this is what Trump doesn't get. The internet got Trump elected, and the internet, the non-establishment hated Hillary Clinton. The establishment, they hated the GOP, so he became the non-establishment. So the Chelsea and the internet community, we all love Chelsea Manning. We love whistleblowers and truth tellers. So he comes out yesterday with a statement and bites the very hand that got him elected. That's how he won. I say it like this: it's only fire, it's only the will. It's only penicillin. Oh, it's only YouTube. It's the most powerful genre in human history. I mean, when Trump sits around and watches freaking Alex Jones YouTube videos, and so the establishment that thinks we're crazy and think they're on the wrong side of history. We are the new establishment. The grassroots, you, Jan the Smokey the Clown, Christina Cancel, Dana Dunford's work is incredible. Jan's work's incredible. These hardcore Missing Sky. That work that is power. Look, combined, you take all of us combined. You know how many people have looked at us? Half the country.
That's true.
It's powerful, and we've got the field. We have the field, and they go against us.
We're self-educated. We've made an effort to be more diligent in our facts. So This is the deal. It's not like we're
doing it for the right reasons. We're not doing it for money, because none of us have any money. We relied on. I had money until I got cancer. People forget.
Right.
I was given 2 months to live 5 years. Right. I was in a coma 5 years.
Well, Missing Sky is very sick. She's a YouTuber. Missing Sky is very ill. She lives in Canada and has been affected by radioactivity. Hey, look, we have 20 seconds left.
She's doing fantastic work.
You've been listening to Lonnie Clark with the Age of Fission radio show. Thanks for joining us. This is Kevin Blanch with the Post-Ignorance Project. Please check out his Facebook page. Thanks, Kevin, for all your work. We really appreciate it. I hope you come back with us sooner than later. Please put your courage feet on. Your voice matters. Take action. Do what you can. Let's save our planet. Take care, you guys. Bye, Kev.
You still there?
My name is S.M. Gibson, and I am